IPMNation.com.
Welcome and thank you for stopping by the number one rated show here on IPMNation.com, episode 246 of the Gong Heard Round the World. You're in to All Natural Being live here on IPMNation.com, where I get to ride shotgun wherever you're headed today. And the live video feed right here on Facebook with rebroadcasts on iTunes and iHeartRadio. Greetings wherever you are here in the Garden of the Mortals. Broadcast, as it happens, from the Outpost Studios here in Columbus, Ohio, where we're always putting your heart's highest priority top of the list. And, as you know now, a little bonus feature, we set aside a few minutes each day to grab a quick dose of cognitive Kevlar, a booster shot to protect us from all the social justice psychopaths wreaking havoc in our world. The cognitive hemophiliacs taking ED, as you know, emotional delusion, to the next level. Remember, these intellectual glass jaws, fun fact, they never learned how to take a philosophical punch, but they did pick the fight with us. They went to war first. So, all natural being is a battle cry for your brain. You can think of it like that. Putting your primal scream, your wild whisper, front and center in your life. Because why would you slight your bright? It's time to reboot. You're robust, to find you're ferocious, and to out-brutal the brutal in the cut and shuffle that fate deals you on a daily basis, and to bring your own bold, once and for all. But before we hit it today, hello to my friends here in the United States and Canada, Mexico, the UK, my good friends in Ecuador, China, the Philippines, Brazil, India, Australia, Germany, Italy, I don't want to forget Italy, France, Turkey, Japan, Singapore, Sweden, Israel, South Africa, Puerto Rico, can't forget Puerto Rico, Kenya, the Netherlands, to those joining us from all over the globe. It's great to have you with us. And I truly am fired up to be driving your bandwagon, to be your biggest fan, to be avidly you. So what do you say? It's time to mortal up. Let's go kick in some doors. And I wanted to jump right into it this morning. I put over on Twitter, I put up a little post that talked about autophagy. You know, my sense of what would you say, intermittent fasting from binge thinking, a philosophical autophagy, so that the body has a chance, right? The immune system, in terms of their physical body, we know that intermittent fasting is huge. All kinds of reports now, absolutely huge. What am I doing? I'm sorry about that. Into every light, a little rain must fall. Hold on. Yeah, see, there you go. I should have look here. Should have checked my levels. Do I seem balanced to you? All right. So, little. What are you going to do? No, I'm not balanced at all. All right. So we're talking about autophagy, right? Intermittent fasting, how it's good for your immune system. As I like to think of it, your immune system takes all the toxicity in your body. It's not unlike making lemonade out of lemons. You got all this crap, you've ingested all these different things, and then what do? Well, the process of autophagy. It's been called your second immune system, your inner immune system, your immune system's immune system. Because what it does is it goes through, finds all the crap that's hanging out in your cells, right, for the most part, finds all the crap, all the toxicities, all the little things that shouldn't be there, all the different things that are caused by oxidative stress in your life. And then this process kicks in to, right, make lemonade out of lemons. And it's one of the reasons that I originally stumbled across our sponsor for All Natural Being, tryh2.com, because they use molecular hydrogen to attack the oxidative stress, right? And they have this thing called the hyjuvenation process. So for me, I needed to figure out, I wanted to do a top down and bottom up. So in terms of recovering, biologically recovering from the brain tumor, I wanted the body to take full advantage of its autophagy, full advantage of what my neurosurgeon said. Look, you can't have your body fighting all these little skirmishes, all these little, calls into your immune system. Oh, fight a pain in my big toe. Oh, I have a pain in my tuchus. Oh, I'm doing all these other things. He says you need all hands on deck in order to help your immune system fix the hole in your head. Oh, be that were it true. In any event, right? I needed all hands on deck. So when it comes to a philosophical autophagy, my suggestion is we just take some intermittent fasting from binge thinking. Philosophical autophagy just means at the end of the day, or the beginning of the day, however we want to do it, what are the least amount of thoughts that we need to sustain ourselves? Give our philosophical autophagy system a chance to root out all the things that are toxic in our life. But as I said, tryh2.com, they helped me in terms of the inhalation. They helped me most certainly in the terms of when it comes to getting molecular hydrogen and water. And we'll talk more about that coming up. You can learn all about it at tryh2.com. But what helped me, in addition to the hydrogen inhalation and the hydrogen ingestion every day, was just this overall mental concept of binge thinking. Right? And what could I do to give my mind a break? What can you and I do to give our minds a break so that we're not always subject to cognitive cellulite, if you will? What can we do to give our minds a break? Philosophical autophagy, so it has a chance to recover from all the toxicity we ingest. What can we do to get a break from the crowd, from the marketplace wanting to sell us our sense of self, wanting to sell us, give us, in terms of baubles and trinkets and whatnot, give us our sense of self? What could we do to take a break from that? And I think that's the basis, now that I look at it, that's the basis of the 20-minute victory. What can I do right now for the next 20 minutes to put my heart's highest calling top of my list, to let out my primal scream, my wild whisper, the still small voice? Because that's in and of itself an autophagy, or at least a process in that regard, where you say, okay, no, I think I'll go ahead and do away with all the binge thinking, all the worry about, am I going to get a thumbs up or a thumbs down? How is this going to be perceived by the crowd? I'll go ahead and get rid of all that, right? I'll go ahead and say, no, I will follow my heart's highest priority. I'll put it on the top of my list. And then, in terms of the bandwidth, we have what we need, right? Just like people say, oh, you can't starve yourself. You don't want to do that intermittent fasting. And I'm not saying go for 2 weeks without eating. I'm not saying go for 2 weeks. You hear a lot of time with writer's block. One of the things they tell you to do if you have writer's block is stop reading, right? Just shut down. Give your mind a break. Well, it turns out your biology for your body and for your brain's one and the same. So what binge thinking could you surrender today? If you were going to adopt a philosophical autophagy for yourself, what would it be? What are some of the toxic thoughts that you have? What are some of the ways you troll yourself? What are some of the things that you could do to go ahead and give your brain a break? Well, that's what we'll be talking about this morning on All Natural Being. We'll be talking about specifically what can you do to give yourself a little bit of a timeout, right? And just the insanity of the egoic times that we live in. I saw a little thing the other day where a celebrity, and again, I never mention names because it's not my intent to slam them, just more my intent to think, look at how crazy it's starting to get, these egoic times. But goes to an anti-gun rally, regardless of what you think about, your right to bear arms, goes to an anti-gun rally talking about how horrible it is for people to carry guns, and she's surrounded by bodyguards with guns. And then you wonder, oh, Bri, well, I don't know, maybe philosophical autophagy, maybe we don't need that. And then you look at situations like that and go, oh, we need a quick time out here. Right? Think of some of the other situations where, just the hypocrisy, the egoic hypocrisy, alive and well on our planet. I've always been fascinated. Now, this is not to say that you don't need DUI laws, right? Driving under the influence, or DWI was what it was called when I was in, driving while intoxicated, when I was a cop. DUI, driving under the influence. Did you ever wonder about the people making all those laws? The governors, all the other people, the big-time senators and state reps and this and that. And they have a chauffeur. They have a driver. They're making all the laws about what it means for you to be able to drive under the influence because they have a driver. They're making all these laws about what it means for you to be able to protect yourself and your family, but they don't want you to do it, but they have bodyguards with the ability to protect them and their families. Ever wonder about that? So there's absolutely no arguing the fact that we live in just the just hysterical egoic times. And the hypocrisy that we're subject to day in and day out. What if you could just take a break? What if you go, you know what? For 20 minutes, I'm going to shut down, and all I'm going to listen to is that inner whisper. All I'm going to do is put my heart's highest priority top of my list. All right, you get where I'm going with that. A philosophical autophagy. And what would you cut out? What are some of the thoughts that you have about yourself, about your situation, about your surroundings? What are some of the thoughts that you could abandon? Just for a little bit, right? Is a safety net or a comfort zone or a nice blanket to wrap ourselves in? We can always go back to those egoic constructions. But what would you abandon if you wanted to go on a philosophical fast? If you really were interested in losing the cognitive cellulite? If you really were interested in curbing some of the side effects of oxidative stress in your life, how are some of those items, how are some of those things ultimately helping you? And if they're not helping you, could you go through a philosophical fast? All right, let's go ahead and jump into the thread, see how everybody's doing this morning. Thank you so much. A little bit of a rant there about just abandoning those things, right? What it would take. Oh, and a share. Thank you very much. Thank you for the share. Josephine, good morning. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the hearts. Thank you very much. Henry, good morning. John, good morning. Great day to you as well. Thank you, sir. It's absolutely my pleasure. Laura, good morning. Tanya, Michael, John, if you're listening, good morning. Rita, nice to see your smile as always. Top of the morning to you. Marcellus, thank you for the picture yesterday. I appreciate it. Good morning. Reboot. I know, Henry, did you notice how I thought of you as soon as I said that? Reboot, you're robust. Yeah, that's plagiarism. I basically stole that from Henry. Yeah, I may have little tweaked it a little bit, right, just to make sure that the fingerprints were mine. But reboot, you're robust. And in addition, what could we do? All right, so I also, if we see Janelle this morning, I know she was going to take a photo over to City Hall. I wanted to hear how that worked out as well for her yesterday. See how that goes. All right, so what we're talking about this morning is, and this is, and I always caution myself of creating these words, right? But how can you and I unsabotage ourselves? Because if you buy into the theory, as I do, that all the different things going on in our life, there's Janelle. Good morning, Janelle. Let us know, how did it go yesterday when you were dropping a photo off? I didn't get a chance to see the picture if you sent it to me yet, so I apologize. But how did it go yesterday? Janelle's a big-time photographer. Dropping off a picture. I think she said she was dropping off a picture at City Hall. I'd love to hear all about it. We're talking this morning about philosophical autophagy, and just as important, how do we unsabotage ourselves? Because ultimately, we can lay blame at everyone, we can lay blame at our surroundings, but if we choose to be a chameleon, and we're going to change color based on our surroundings, How can we actually, right? It's kind of on us. We chose, I am a chameleon. But then we'll go ahead and blame our environment, even though we're the ones to chose to be colored by it. So what if we decided not to be that way? What if we could unsabotage ourselves? What would we do? Henry said yesterday in the thread that, we're not at war with the ego, right? We're just deciding that we're going to take control of the bus for a little while. We're going to be our own driver. And instead of letting the smallest tip of the iceberg dictate what happens, we're going to stop the insanity. We're going to stop buying in to all the egoic hyperbole. It's everywhere today when you look at it in the world. And we're going to fall back. We're going to unsabotage ourselves. It is one thing to say all the nice new wave concepts, Henry says, of love and peace. But not living it is as condescending as those who are content living in the madness of this world. Condescending, Henry, I love that word. Once again, spot on. And I asked the other day in the radio interview with Matt Connerton, you talk about condescending. How condescending is it to suggest that you can't run your own mind? How condescending. You want to talk about hate speech. How condescending is it to suggest that your mind is as perforated as some stamps? Do stamps still come in sheets with perforations? Maybe they all come glued. I don't know. It's been a while since I bought a stamp. How condescending is it to believe that we have to guard against hate speech because you're just too timid, you're too fragile, you're too frail. There's no way you can stand the heat of the kitchen. So we have to curb everything that's going on in the environment because you've just decided to channel too much of your inner chameleon. How condescending is that? So again, when it comes to inappropriate language, biggest scam going. When it comes to inappropriate hearing, not so much so. Inappropriate language, you don't like the language, don't listen to it. Talk about condescending, where someone says, no, we're going to play you like a hand puppet. Janelle, everything went well, and my photo Evening Rays will be on display next week. All right, Janelle, congratulations. You could give us a sneak peek here if you want to. Sometime before, even if it's just like an hour before it goes live on display, you could give us a sneak peek, maybe one day next week. Evening Rays. Janelle, can't wait to see it. Congratulations again. All right, so specifically, how can you and I, right? Yoda from Star Wars, you must unlearn that which you have learned. Right? How can you and I unsabotage ourselves? How can we get rid of some of the condescending attitudes of this world? Right? Because is there anything more toxic than the condescending attitudes getting in and ricocheting around in your mind? I like the ideas of medieval castles. Right? The big drawbridge over the moat. I don't know, maybe some moats were filled with alligators or sharks or, I don't know, really mean beavers. Right? I don't know, really like, like an otter that just had an attitude, and you fall into that water and that otter just goes at you. What if you and I were to develop a moat for our own minds? What if we at the very least were able to develop a speed bump so that when it comes to all the incoming toxic, in an attempt to unsabotage ourselves, when it comes to all the incoming toxic, there's a little moat. There's a little speed bump. Just slowing it down long enough for us to be able to go, I don't think I'm going to take that today. I don't think I have to listen, right? Slings and arrows are coming. Nothing we can do to control that. Fate targets everyone. Nothing we can do to control that. You got to out-brutal the brutal. That's how we offer the counterpunch. And again, as I said in the open, fun fact, the people that want to get in these debates, they never learned how to take a philosophical punch. And if you can't stand the heat, what is the saying? You can't stand the heat, don't come into the kitchen. Which, here in Columbus, Ohio, I've been waiting for heat for so long, I'd just be happy if it were warm, period. Global warming, what are you going to do? So how can you and I specifically go about unsabotaging ourselves? We could adopt a philosophical autophagy, as I said earlier. We could just be aware of all the incoming toxicity. As Henry's saying, is one of the things to say all the nice new wave concepts of love and peace, but not living it is as condescending. And that's the point. You know, if you want to have the sense of love and peace, kumbaya, as we say all the time, then I just call for a little bit of truth in advertising. And in order to live in this sense of love and peace, it has to be directed towards yourself first. If you don't know the language, if you can't speak the language, if you're not versed in, right, the nomenclature of that language, how are you ever going to do it? Excuse me. How are you ever going to do it? As Henry says, we must learn, we can think for ourselves and take the responsibility to do just that. We must also learn why we react the way we do. How is it our buttons get pushed? Henry, I think about that all the time, right? Well, I'm out driving, someone cuts me off, right? So this sense of road rage, that's why I don't go out much, to be honest, and I don't do a lot of driving, right? I have my little bracelet in case I'm found anywhere. So if you ever bump into me and I'm just sitting on a park bench looking around, right? So I don't do much driving, but I love when they do. When I do have a chance to go out and get behind the wheel, because in that split second, when someone cuts me off, yesterday it happened, a school bus, right through the red light, and I'm thinking, if you're a school bus driver and is there anyone that, can you think of a driver out there, I mean, other than a parent with a minivan full of toddlers, right, other than that person, can you think of someone that absolutely should never blow through a red light? Bus driver, right in front of me. Didn't even look, didn't even wave, didn't even go. Oh, I feel so guilty sometimes if I impinge another person's flowing traffic. I'm like, oh, I am so sorry. But I love that because, to Henry's point, I like to see what happens in that instant. Where are my buttons? And for God's sakes, why am I wearing them on my sleeve? Because in those instances of road rage, or you ever been in a supermarket, somebody rams you with a cart, right, cuts in front of line. Here's one of my favorite ones. You're at the supermarket, another place I don't get to hang out very often, but not that I would want to. You're at the supermarket, and you got like 3 items, and someone with 37 items makes a beeline, like picks up their pace and cuts you off to get into the aisle that says 10 items or less. So then you're like, I've got 3, and I know that would be a major inconvenience to let me go, but you bring 37 items to an aisle where the sign says 10 items or less, you can't even do the math. But there, right then when I say that, oh, well, you have 37 items, where is that button on me? John asks, have you delved into nonviolent communication? Yes, I have. It is definitely an unlearning process. I would absolutely agree with you, John. I think it was Rousseau that said that now, he was talking about himself, he goes, now that I've reached a ripe old age, I've set out to make sure that I unseat all the things that I was so certain of in youth, that I overthrow the thoughts of youth. Good morning, Chief. Saturday in Columbus, Ohio is going to be 85 degrees. Yes, it is, Marcellus. I can't wait. For all my friends interested in my position on global warming, I'll be Saturday, when it's 85 degrees here in Columbus, I'll be spraying 2 cans of aerosol, anything, directly into the sunlight, and loving every minute of it. So, how can we unsabotage ourselves? Good morning again, Chief. Nice to have you with us. How can we, what can we specifically do? Now, the philosophical autophagy is one of those things. But what else can you specifically do? And you don't have to mention it here in the thread if you don't want, but what could you do in your own life to pare away, to drain off, to sop up some of that toxicity? Because I believe that underlying all of that, it's a pretty cool person. I believe that underlying all of that, your all-natural being. And think about it for a moment. Why does this system, this autophagy, why does it work within the human body? Because the human body knows when it's off kilter. The human body knows when it's not firing on all cylinders. And what does it do? It activates the system to go in, find the bad guys, and get them out. I think it's called, well, not that you want to go into a science lesson, right? Like that'll just send us into the streets screaming. Right? But the science lesson, I believe it's called misfolded proteins. Misfolded, right? They're just like, imagine someone practicing origami and they're really not good at it, right? That's a misfolded protein. And it's a function of oxidative stress in your body, right? Just the different toxins, including a little bit of oxygen, right? Because remember, we get those free radicals running havoc in our bodies. Well, what about the free radicals of thought? What about the free radicals of rhetoric? Jared Brewer, good morning, brother. Nice to see your icon pop up. Hope all is well. What about the free radicals of rhetoric that we allow into our minds? The opinions of other people, the thumbs up, the thumbs down, that I get retweeted, do people like this, right? And I saw that a friend of mine, Kelly, said to me yesterday, she just has this, she saw this t-shirt. Fun fact, I just don't care. I thought, that's a great t-shirt. I'll have to have one of those printed up. Fun fact, I just don't care. And what would your life be like today if you were to get a t-shirt that said, fun fact, I just don't care about your opinion? Now, again, for everyone going, oh, Brian, we live in a society, right? Rising tide lifts all ships. And sorry, I can't even get it out, right? Right? Oh, but you can't do that. Okay, great. For 20 minutes, 1/72nd of your day, what if you opted not to be so chameleonic? What if you opted for this philosophical autophagy? What if you opted to go, I'm going to tap out the toxic in my life? Because the underlying operating system is your all-natural being. Underlying operating system is your primal scream, is your wild at the core. And what does it say? That the human body is designed in such a way that when it finds some of these misfolded proteins, it goes, you're out of here, like a bouncer. A bouncer going in, or make a maitre d' at a nice restaurant, right? Going in, finding somebody unruly in the restaurant or unruly wherever you are, and going, excuse me, pal, outside. Let's take this outside. Well, that's what the philosophical autophagy I'm talking about, right? It's just that part of your mind goes, you know what, you, toxic thought, let's go, outside, you and me, on the curb. And then what you have left is your all-natural being. What would you do? Jared, what would you do? Chief Fleming, what would you do? John, what would you do? Henry, Rita, Janile, Josephine, what would you do? Begin asking the question, Henry says, why? Why are we feeling stressed? Why are we feeling unhappy? Why are we getting angry from what we just heard? That's Henry's absolutely right. That's where we discover the links. Why? Why is that person? And could it very well be it's just rote? It's that we've learned to be that way? And my friend Gordon he was joking with me the other day. He goes, no, now you're doing fairy tales, nursery rhymes on the show? Yes, I am. Fun fact, I don't care. No, right, I love Gordon. So I was like, yeah, right, the three little pigs. I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down. Well, another one, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. So to Henry's point, why are we feeling stressed? Why are we unhappy? Why are we getting angry? If it's sticks and stones. Now, sticks and stones break your bones. You got to do a little something. Someone's hurling boulders at you, smacking you with a baseball bat, right? bringing a sledgehammer to a philosophical fight, well, then you got to stand up for yourself, right? We just know that. You got to stand up for yourself. But sticks and stones might break my bones. Names will never hurt me. Maybe we just learned, Henry. Maybe we learned to let words hurt us. But the cool thing about that, brother, is that if we've learned, we can unlearn it. Right? Again, Yoda, Star Wars, you must unlearn that which you have learned. John says that NVC, which is nonviolent communication, and cryptocurrency is leading the way to an abundantly beautiful future. And I think, John, in addition to those, what can we do to lead the way to an abundantly beautiful future? Channel our all-natural being. Channel our wild at the core. Channel our primal scream. Reboot our robust. And stop this almost addictive need to slight our own bright. We've learned to buy into the mashugana of the marketplace, and maybe this is the day that we decide, nah, I'm not going to do that anymore. Not only am I going to put my heart's highest priority top of the list, I'm going to listen to what it says, because I know, crazy as it sounds, a universe will dovetail to an individual that goes, I'm here to fulfill a destiny. Now, we don't get into the debate whether that destiny is prepackaged, right? You come with it. Or it's something that you pick up along the way. But the universe digs grit. Universe digs passion. And the universe digs an individual that goes, I have a list of natural resources, and I'm going to use them. Fun fact, I don't care whether you like it or not. Right? You can say to your own ego, right? I've been letting you run the show. Now it's my time to drive the bus. All right. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you all so very much for joining us this morning. Thank everybody here in the Fred. Again, congratulations to Janelle. Chief, refresh your self-worth on a daily basis. It's your life and doesn't belong to anyone else. Absolutely agreed, Chief Fleming. Refresh your self-worth on a daily basis. And I think Kelly said last week that if you know your self-worth, you'll never be poor. So I think she would wholeheartedly agree. All right. Have a fantastic day, my friends. Thank you so very much. We'll see you back here bright and early tomorrow morning. We keep ramping up. We've got some new things. Troll Alert. We'll be doing that tomorrow. Troll Alerts. And we're going to start. My understanding is we're going to be able to start taking your calls. So 2 minutes for your 2 cents worth. I'm hoping that kicks off tomorrow on Wednesday. If not Wednesday, then we'll have it for Thursday. Henry says, like anything we do in life, in order to understand it, we must study it. And that is especially true of ourselves. Right? Oracle at Delphi. Know thyself. And I'm simply suggesting that once you get to know yourself, not the mashugana, not all the marble, not all the rhetoric ricocheting around in your minds, once you get to know your true self, once you do that investigation, then you'll go, I got a pretty good gig here. I get a pretty decent reservoir of natural resources. They may be dormant. They're not dead. And I'm going to bring my own bold right now, and I'm going to make it work. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you all so very much. Janelle, thank you. You have a terrific Tuesday as well. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning.
IPMNation.com.